Hi everyone, IntuitiveEdge here. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining me. Today I want to take a look at a personality that's been on X, formerly Twitter, and other places online. I've just kind of heard of him through the grapevine. He's been popping up here and there, and that is a man by the name of Ivan Raiklin. Now, he is a Green Beret, former military, and I want to take a look at him because he seems to be an interesting character. I will attach a video down below that you can go watch and see for yourself what he's been saying. What I want to look at is him as a person. This is a technique that I've done with the tarot before when it comes to people. Now, people can say all kinds of things. They may or may not be true. But what I want to focus on is the person himself. Is he trustworthy? Is he an honest person? What do we need to know about him? Who is he at his core? These are some of the questions that I like to kind of know from the tarot before I make a judgment on whether what they're saying is true or not. Let's look at the person, because you can glean a lot from the tarot, and they're pretty interesting what tarot says. What kind of messages come through the cards regarding a personality. So I'm going to shuffle up here. I've got my Spirit-Wise tarot deck. I'm going to look at, I have written down 7 questions. Who is this Ivan Raiklin? What do we need to know about him? Is he an honest person? Is he trustworthy? Is he telling the truth regarding the coming raids? Now, this is something that you will see if you go watch the video that I've included below. Will there be a presidential election in November? Now, that's a question that I just threw into my little mix here, and I should probably clue you all in on what the reasoning is behind that question. I'll get into that in a moment. But for now, I just want to shuffle up the cards. What else do we need to know about Ivan Raiklin? Okay, so there's just some pretty basic questions about him. Is he trustworthy? Is he telling the truth? Is he an honest person? Okay, so there we go. So about Ivan Raiklin, we're asking for the highest good to come through the cards. I'm going to finish shuffling up. All right, so I just finished shuffling up the cards. So I have 7 questions. Let's lay these out. So who is he at his core? Interesting card to come out. I'm just going to see if I should. I'm just going to pull all these out and then I'll show you what I've got. Okay, interesting cards. All right. Okay, so who is he at his core? We have the 9 of Cups coming out on that. That's a very interesting card. Maybe he's a very optimistic person, because this is the card of your wishes being granted. Well, it's basically hopes, wishes, dreams, a larger than life kind of character from what I'm getting with that. What do we need to know about him? From this, I would say he's got connections. There are people that feed him information. He has a lot of connections is what I'm feeling with this. He's also got, there's a core band of, I want to say band of brothers. Militarily speaking, it's kind of like an elite core group. This is what I'm getting intuitively. An elite core group that kind of oversees him. Does that make sense? It's like he's got connections, but he's like a spokesperson for an elite group. And I get like military with it. And he is one that makes connections and gives inroads. He probably is a conduit for information that both gets fed to him and that he gives to others. I get like the information goes both ways with him. He gives information, he gets information, but he's He's a piece of a network of high elite military brass. Even though it says he's former military, I get he's still connected with this elite group. And maybe this elite group is also consists of former military. And they're interesting. Okay, I'm right. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. The way I read tarot, for those of you that don't know, is the cards, the artwork on the cards speaks to me stories, and that's what I see. So here I'm getting this exchange of information. It's going both ways. But then I was looking at this thing, and this is the overarching thing that I saw that is driving these connections. And I get like, I was pulling into one, like Ivan is one, and he's moving, going back and forth, receiving and giving information, but it's on behalf of this larger overarching group, elite group, okay? So a lot of this I'm getting is probably behind the scenes, but he's not. He's out front. He's an intelligence giver and gatherer. There's a lot of energy on that. Okay. All right. Number 3, is he an honest person? Now, this is interesting. We got the Knight of Cups, but this card came in reversed. So the Knight of Cups is a card of, it's like making an offer. It's a negotiator, giving and receiving information again with this card. Having it reversed, when on the question of is he an honest person, you know, that could be very interesting, because this, as a reversal, this could indicate someone who is, maybe he's got ulterior motives. Maybe he's gathering information, getting information in kind of a, maybe he puts out disinformation, but for an ulterior means or ulterior motives. So I mean, this is a positive card. I wouldn't necessarily say he's dishonest, but there could be some sort of other agenda going on. And maybe he's honest to a point, and maybe he feeds disinformation for a greater purpose. That's interesting. Okay, next question is he trustworthy? Okay, all right. So I'm kind of seeing this little pattern here with, is he honest? Is he trustworthy? This is somebody who is very guarded and very, God, what's the word? Very careful and guarded. There's another word I want, but it'll come to me in a minute. This is the card of being very careful and watching your P's and Q's. You don't want to just rush in guns a-blazing, for a terrible term, but anyway, you have to be diplomatic and tactful and careful. And that's what this card is. It can also be a sneaky person, a thief. So interesting. He's very well connected, I will say that. But these other cards give me pause on his character just a little. Not that he's a bad person, but he's probably very careful and self-serving in some ways. But I don't like, I mean, there's not like a nefarious with it, like you would see with some of the other darker cards, like the Devil or some other cards. But definitely someone to kind of use your discernment with, put it that way. All right. Is he telling the truth regarding the coming raids and possible arrest? Oh, okay. An ace. Aces upright are yes cards. The ace, new beginning. The ace of wands, taking action. Okay. I think he's telling the truth on that. So I'll let you go listen to that if you haven't already, but that's a huge statement if he's telling the truth on that, because that's big. That's big. Okay, will there be a presidential election in November? Now, okay. Interesting card on that question. The Hanging Man. Being in limbo, something that is, this is the card of self-sacrifice, being caught in the middle. You're not here, you're not there, you're in limbo. There is a weird element with the presidential elections in November. I will get into that shortly, I promise. I will get into what I know, well, intuitively, what's been shown to me, what I've been receiving. I'll tell you all about it in a minute. Okay, let me finish this up. What else should we know about Ivan Ranklin? Strength card. This is a major arcana, all about power, strength, and resolve. And also a measure of protection. He could be very well connected and well protected as well. I think there's a little bit going that he's not talking about. There's probably more behind the scenes that he's not spilling the beans about. Even though that video was like, whoo-wee. That's a lot of information to just dump out. And this upside down knight on, is he an honest person? So there's more to him than meets the eye. But he is definitely on a mission to gather and disseminate information and disinformation. I think that is both for him. All right. I'm going to be right back, and I'll share with you what I've been getting about the coming election in November. I'll be right back. All right. So let me give you the backstory on the question that led up to my questioning whether there will be an election in November. Okay. So a couple of months ago, I sat down, and there's a method that I've developed, and I won't go into too much of it, but just to give you an overview, it's a method of it's not automatic writing, but it's you write out a question, and then you follow the energy, and you write down different answers that could be possible that you're seeking, and then you follow the energy. So that's basically what it is, without getting into the details of it. So I've been developing this method, and I find it to be highly, highly accurate, because you're basically intuiting where the energy is flowing. And you basically have to just get out of your head, and you have to word your question in such a way that you don't have a leading question. You're simply stating a question and seeking an answer. It's a really incredible method for divination. I've been using this method, and I was asking a very basic question about RFK Jr. I was curious if he was going to continue on in the presidential race or if he was going to drop out. I was just really curious. So I'm asking about him, and I'm following the question with the energy of it, asking about the 2024 election, and it wouldn't give me an answer. I had answers written out, which one would it lead to, and it kept drawing me back up to the question, and I was circling. The energy was circling around the election in November, the November election. It was like it wouldn't leave off of that. So I'm like, well, that's very odd. Why would it be drawing me back up to the question of the election? So then I thought, okay, is this saying there's not going to be a 2024 election? So I asked that. And that got me on a whole big rabbit hole. That basically the energy I was getting is that it's really not likely that there was something that was possible in the ether, in the future, in whatever, that it is possible that there would not even be an election. Now, this kind of surprised me, And because that was not where I was thinking it would go at all. So I asked a good friend of mine, who I trust, I'm like, this is really weird that I would be getting that there might not be an election. She's like, well, that's what all the psychics are saying. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, there are a lot of psychics out there that are saying that we might not even have an election. And they don't get why. They just get that it might not happen. So I was like, well, that's really interesting to me. Again, I tried to pinpoint down why, and I couldn't exactly get why. It kind of just was a little bit, the energy wouldn't be real direct with me. But it was direct that it was really in question as to whether there would actually be an election. And there's so much going on. There could be a million reasons why. We could have another epiplanedemic thingy. That could come up. And where they just say, we're not having elections. We could be embroiled in a war, a hot war with Russia. And just like Ukraine said, oh, we're just going to keep ourselves in power and not have elections under the guise of public safety or whatever. democracy. democracy. So there could be that. There could be a host of other things. Why there wouldn't be. But I found that really, really interesting, especially given my year ahead video, I think it was, back in December of 23. I recorded the year ahead. I think it was that one. It might have been a different video, but anyway, I was seeing out past the November, December of 2024, and the states possibly calling a convention of states. I didn't get what that was for, but that would have to be something really dramatic and big. So anyway, that's getting out there. I don't want to get too far off a field with that, but just to kind of iterate my thoughts about what might be coming with this election. And these were intuitive things and this intuitive method that I developed. So on this question of, will there be a presidential election in November and we get the Hanged Man, the card of being in limbo, spiritual self-sacrifice, giving up something to gain something. That energy is interesting on that question. So this has been interesting, informative. I think the Ivan guy is, he's definitely onto something, but you might want to use a lot of discernment with anything he says. But according to his video he put out, that has got this card on it. The card of truth, upright, and taking action. And yes, yes, yes. So that's what I wanted to share. I do think that there is a lot riding on that question of, is there going to be a 2024 election? Because as it stands right now, it doesn't look good for Joe. He's down in the polls by a lot. Trump is surging in the polls by a lot. The economy is not doing so hot, and they're trying to prop it up and say that it is, but a lot of people are feeling it. There was a gal that I saw, I think she was in New York, did a TikTok video, and she bought 4 items at the grocery store. And they were simple things like a loaf of bread, a gallon of milk, some butter, and some eggs. And it cost her $30. $30. And she's like, I don't know how, now I gotta save my other $30 for next week for groceries. And I don't know what I'm gonna do beyond that. I don't know how people are surviving. There's a lot of people struggling out there. It's real. The struggle is real. And I know many of you are feeling it. So Biden's not doing good in the polls. Trump is. Biden's economy is not doing good. The border's wide open, which is really a big issue for a lot of Americans. And especially Black Americans and Latinos. They're seeing this wide open border as a big problem because it's taking away jobs for them. They're seeing these other people get all kinds of special treatment, and yet they're struggling. So this is not working well. It's not a good look for the Biden administration. So what are they going to do? They've tried to throw all kinds of lawfare at President Trump, trying to keep him off the campaign trail by tying him up in courts. And a lot of people are seeing through that. It's not working. So what else is left? They've tried all kinds of other things to get him out of the race. What else is left? Cancel the election. That's really all that they have left. Because it's going to be to use a term recently, a bloodbath. We'll have to see what happens. All right, everybody. That's what I got for you. Thanks for joining me this time around. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.